Guys, it's time for Breakthrough with Coach Lew. Coming to you live from Accelerate Life University, XLR8Life.com. Coach Lew will help you break through anything that's stopping you. Are you ready to get the motivation, the energy, the life, and all the success you really want and deserve? With no further ado, here's Coach Lew.
Hey guys, welcome back to Breakthrough with Lew Monday edition. And I got a question for you today. What is the price of fear? Okay, what does this cost you on a daily, a weekly, monthly, yearly basis, on a lifetime? What is this fear costing you in the grand scheme of things? You might ask, Coach, what do you mean cost me? Is there a tax on fear or something? Well, basically, I'm going to tell you, there kind of is a tax on fear, because you're going to pay this tax one way or the other, whether you're going to pay it up front by conquering fear or whether you let fear take it out of your pocket, out of your life, out of your relationships, whatever the case is. Yes, there is a fear tax, F tax, right? Okay, so the cost of fear comes in so many forms, and I hope you're jumping on this morning, staying on the show. It's going to be a quick one, but you got to really stick with me real quick. This makes all the difference in the world to you, okay? So let's review this. Let's review the forms and the costs of fear, okay? If you lose out by not taking action, is that a cost? Yes, right? So what you lose out on by not taking action in the face of fear could be financial losses, for example. You could have passed on a chance to buy Apple stock when it was brand new and it looked like Jobs and it was going to crash and tank it. Apple was in the toilet, but you could have bought the stock then. Look where it would be now, okay? Or what about when you had a business idea and you were afraid to go for it? And dun, what happened? Okay, let me tell you a quick story. Back when I was younger, I had my wisdom teeth out, quite a bit younger. And I got a phone call. It was, I think, a wrong number. And ended up talking to this guy about this stuff. And he was like, came up with this great idea. We were supposed to get in touch and start this business. Never did it. Now, I don't know if that idea ever flew, if anybody ever did it, but there was another thing when my dad died. A business that I thought, well, even before he died, when he had his first heart attack, I thought, most heart attacks happen at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. What's going on about then? The alarm clock. It jars you. It startles you. I thought, well, what if cardiac patients, or basically anyone, could have a clock that would simulate morning starting? Would put on a gentle light, play some gentle music, some morning sounds, some birds, and wake you up out of the sleep nicely. Wow, that could really save a lot of heart attacks and be good for a lot of heart patients, right? So, here's my big idea. I'll make money on it. I didn't do anything, so I was a little scared, didn't know how to go about it. One day I open up and look on the TV and safe wake alarm clock, something like that. And I'm like, that was my idea. And I was mad. But you know what? I let fear get in the way. Fear of what if I didn't make it? What if people didn't really like it? Well, someone else had the idea. They didn't come steal my idea out of my head. They didn't export my brain and analyze it and go, oh, he's got a good idea in there. And we didn't have technology for that then. Maybe we do now. But you see what I'm saying? Pretty crazy stuff, right? That cost me financially by not bringing this thing to market that somebody else did and made millions on, okay? What's number two it could cost you? It could cost you love. Do you remember a time you met someone or didn't meet them because you were afraid to say hello or you were afraid to express your interest? Maybe it was your friend. You had this friend that, you thought she was cute, or, if you're a girl, you thought, oh, wow, I like him, but well, I don't know. They probably, we're just friends. And then years later, they, you run into them and they're married and they're like, wow, back then I was really crazy about you. And you're like, oh, why didn't you say something, or vice versa? And then you go, oh, wow. Okay. So you find out that you should have, could have. Maybe you shouldn't have. You're probably not in the position. You're probably looking, going, no, I love my life the way it is, Coach. I love my husband. I love my wife. I wouldn't trade the way it happened for anything. And that's not what I'm saying. Okay, let me give you a goofy example. When I was real young, well, kind of young, went to this Scottish production thing with music and stuff. And there was this girl that kept staring at me. And I stared back and got all giggly. I mean, we were kids. But, turns up, all of a sudden this other guy walks over, asks her to dance, and they dance, and I happen to get her phone number anyway, but next thing you know, they're dating. And it was like, oh, she calls me up and, hey, you want to catch a movie? And I'm like, okay, sure. And, well, it turns out it was her and her boyfriend and her single friend, who was not nearly as attractive, whatever the case was. And they wanted to, go see this movie and hook me up with their friend. And I was like, no, but I liked her. But you see where the fear held that back. And it is what it is. I mean, in retrospect, I wouldn't change a thing. But I'm just saying it could. What if you're happy, with your current spouse, and you had not taken the time to go say hello or find something in common or propose or whatever it was? What if you were afraid of that and you passed? You wouldn't have your spouse, you wouldn't have your kids, you wouldn't have all this wonderful stuff, right? So you could have lost out on that if you didn't muster up some way to conquer that fear, right? Okay, that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, how about doing something you really want to do but talk yourself out of it and you never get the experience? And then you get to a point where you go, well, I can't do that anymore. I'm too old, or, the moment's passed or the opportunity's passed. Sometimes there's things you could do and now they're not even available. Okay, maybe you want to fly a helicopter. Maybe you don't want to own one or fly one all the time, but you want to take a flying lesson for a helicopter or plane. But you're too scared and you don't do it, and then you never get around to it. Skydiving's a prime example. If you don't do it when you're young, you're probably not going to do it because most people will skip it for various reasons. But when you're young, I did it. I got into skydiving for a while, loved it. First time was like, oh my God. And I remember the absolute sheer panic of the whole thing until I came out of the airplane, and you're falling, and it's like, no, I'm not falling, I'm flying. And that was always a dream of mine when I was a kid, was to fly, literally through the air. That's what it feels like, okay? Till you pull that chute, and you understand why a lot of older people probably shouldn't do it if you have neck or back issues, because you are bruised from where that goes. It pulls you about a 1,500 foot backwards when that chute opens. And it does some, you've got whiplash the next day. Now, if you're young enough to withstand that, hey, I'd probably say do it, because it was a great experience. Would I do it now with the neck issue and stuff? Probably not, because that could be, something that, I'm glad I broke through the fear when I did. And that's what we're here to talk about today, is breaking through these fears while you can still get something done and accomplish and be it and excite and go forward. Fear is something really unique, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the dynamic of what it really is. Okay, number 4, what could fear cost you? Baby, it can cost you your life. Okay, what if you skip a health screening because you're afraid of it, or it's, oh, they're not doing that to me, or this, that, or the other. No, I have no family history of this, or you fear this, or you fear a needle, or you fear a medical test. Okay, and I'm not a huge proponent of Western medicine and medications and stuff like that, but I am a huge proponent of screening and testing and monitoring your body. What if you skip these health things and find out you have a terminal illness that could have been easily cured or prevented if they had found out years before that it was there? Okay? The fear thing can really take a toll on your joy and your growth, but it can even take a toll on your life. My God, can you imagine somebody telling you, if we had caught this a year ago, you wouldn't be, dying in 6 months? it would have been a 5-minute procedure or something like that. So don't let fear hold you back from things that are important. Number one, important, could save your life, but number two, could give you a life. Okay, you don't want to walk around in fear all the time, and I'm not one to try to be judgmental, but it just bothers me when people are like cringed up in fear, and you can tell when they look at you and they're scared of you. And why are you scared of me? Okay, if I'm walking past you on the street, you should not be scared of me. Okay, I'm a pretty darn nice guy. I would jump in front of a bus to save somebody's life. I believe in love, compassion, and decency, and in rising up, and men are men, and you take care of people, and you don't run from something. You help out if there's an emergency. But there's people that like walk around in total fear all the time of everything. Well, that's where you get into this thing where they call fear false evidence that appears real. It's an acronym, meaning your perception is not the reality. Your perception is it's overwhelming fear coming at you. Or there's another one that's face everything and rise. Wham! I'm going to take it on. I'm not afraid of anything. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, well, I have probably acted in both of those, and we all have. So which is it really? Do you run through life afraid of everything and scared and worried? Or do you run foolishly, blind, and fearless mode no matter what? Okay, neither one is a correct answer. Okay, neither one is the correct answer. What is to understand that fear is a warning sign that action is necessary. By its real meaning, that's what fear is. Fear is a warning sign, action is necessary. Either you feel it, something's not right, I'm concerned, or you see it and go, hey, something's not right, I'm concerned. Okay, it's either physiological feeling or emotional that there's something to fear. And generally, it's a combination of the two. Okay? So, what you need is to understand that, especially in the case where it's the false evidence that appears real type situation, that you need this. This is a sign to take action and dig into the number 2 human need. Remember that from last week? Uncertainty. Okay? We need some uncertainty in life. That's called fun, excitement. Okay? This fear is good because when you bust through it, you grow. You're a bigger, stronger person, which gives you that 5th human need of growth. Okay? Remember we talked about that last week, the 6 human needs, and I added a 7th, the 6 human needs that Tony Robbins designed, and I've kind of added on to that. It's great stuff, guys. Okay? Now, prime example of this is you get called to the boss's office and you're afraid you're getting fired. And in fact, he gives you a raise instead. But let's dissect that a little. Let's go back. First off, you were scared and you wanted to avoid the situation. Maybe I can go home. Maybe he'll be on the phone and busy when the clock rings, and I don't have to deal with it. And then you finally stepped up and said, you know what? If I'm getting fired, I don't want to put it off till tomorrow. I'm going to walk in his office, wait till he's off the phone, and just jump into the situation and go, hey, I'm going to face this. What is up? And, what's going on? Now, the reality is, the 2 things could happen. Number 1, he could tell you, oh, by the way, you're fired. You're out of here. You screw up. We don't need you here anymore. Well, now the fear goes away. Now you know what it is. All right, well, it might be shocking, hurtful, whatever, but you go, okay, I've got to take an action. Something's got to happen. I got to go get a new job. Okay, yeah, I didn't like it here anyway, whatever the case was. But the other one is you get that raise, then you feel more confident because you stepped in there. You didn't hesitate. You didn't wait till the next morning. He goes, hey, what happened yesterday? I said I needed to see you before the end of the day. I wanted to do this so I can get it over to accounting. I'm giving you a raise. And you're like, oh, yeah. And now he's like, well, now you got to wait till next week because we didn't, have the talk. So which one was it when that fear hit you that, oh, my God, I'm getting fired? It's irrelevant which one it was is the outcome. What's relevant is what it did to you, how you felt about it, and how you responded to it. Does that make sense? Getting fired, getting a raise, The fact is one person cowered and put it off till the next day and tried to hide from the boss. The other person took a deep breath and walked through the door and said, hey, it is what it is. What's up? Let's find out. One way or another, there's going to be some growth here. And hey, in the case of getting a raise, there was some good growth. Okay, now there's a flip side to this. Is your feeling fearful a sign that you need to take action? And yes, you had a good reason to feel fearful. Okay, example, walking down a dark street at night. You see somebody peeking around the corner of a building, or a couple people, and they're back and forth, and they got hats on, and their faces are covered, and they're all dressed like in really dark clothes, and they keep looking like how close are you? Okay, they could be smoking pot and doing nothing and just don't want to get caught. But your fear tells you, hey, what? I could be getting ready to get mugged or something worse. Okay, so you decide, I'm gonna haul butt the other way. I'm gonna go, run down to the main road and get a cab and screw walking home. I'm not taking this chance. Now, could they have looked and said, oh, good, he's not going to catch us smoking pot or whatever we're doing? Or could they have gone, dang, we missed a target? Or could you turn on the news the next morning and, 2 men on the side street murdered somebody like 5 minutes after you turned around and got out of there? Okay, well, the smart thing to do is if something like that's going on, call the PD. Let them go figure it out. I'm not saying call the PD on everybody or every kid that might be, horsing around in an alley somewhere. What I'm talking about is if there's a pretty clear and present danger and you think these people are looking to rob or hurt somebody, you call the PD, let them go deal with it. But that would be a valid fear to take action and go, I'm not going to jump into this and go, let's see what happens if I fight with them. They might have guns and 10 other people with baseball bats. It's not going to end pretty, okay? So think about that. That is a valid, real fear, okay? Interesting. So what is there to be learned from today's episode of Breakthrough with Lew? Number one, fear is a physiological, okay, you feel it, and an emotional response that can paralyze your success or it can save your life. I mean, this thing has got a double-edged sword, this fear thing. If you're walking around in total fear all the time, you're going to paralyze yourself if it's unfounded. And if it's not, and you're just, wayward crazy, it could cost you your life, or it could cost you your relationships, or all kinds of crazy stuff. You got to have that balance, okay? And number two, what I hope you take away today is fear is a sign either way that there's actions that needed to be taken at some level. Ooh, I'm afraid to go on the roller coaster. Okay, you need to take action to make a decision. Is it worth getting to the other side and going, I conquered that? Or is it worth walking away with your head down and your tail between your legs going, yeah, I chickened out, okay? Or is it a situation where, you have a bear running towards you and he doesn't look happy. He's not coming to say hello. Do I just stand there and hope for the best or think I'm going to duke it out with him? Or do I get out of there or climb up a tree or get your bear spray out or whatever the case is? What level of action do you need to take? Whenever fear comes up on you, that means you need to take an action. Okay? So that's pretty cool stuff. Now, I have a tool here to controlling this thing called fear, okay? When fear comes up, or you're facing a fearful situation, ask yourself these questions. Now, and I'm talking more not the present clear and present danger. There's a car driving right towards me and I need to step out of the way. You're not going to sit there and think, should I do here? You're going to move, okay? I'm talking about, somebody offers you're a personal trainer and they want you to come speak at their church about fitness. And you go, I'm scared to speak in front of a group. But then you got to think, what do I have to lose if I try and fail? I might be embarrassed. Or, am I going to die standing up there talking to this group? Okay, the reality is you're probably going to be embarrassed. The second thing to take into consideration is what lies on the other side of taking action when in fact you overcome this fear, take the massive action, and if you succeed, Well, that makes you kind of unstoppable next time when something comes up. Now you got a formula to work through it. Okay? Now, again, we're a little more focused towards the perceived fears right now, not the literal fears of, getting into a situation where you're going to be in a life-challenging situation. Okay, so 3 things can happen when you overcome a perceived fear that's been holding you back. Excuse me. Number 1, you could fail and never try again. You could fail and go, ooh, I'm never doing anything. Next time I'm going to know better. Well, that's failure. That is true failure, y'all. What about if you try and fail, which is very possible? Edison did it. Thank God for Edison. We wouldn't have lights, okay, if he didn't try 10,000 times and almost blow himself up in the process. You might try and fail, try again. It's usually the thing, learn and try something differently. You might try and fail, but you learn and grow and you learn something. Hey, this is how I don't do it. How could I do it better next time? Wow, that was exhilarating, but I kind of think I embarrassed myself. The truth is, if you learn, you didn't fail. So you didn't fail. If you learned something from it, if you've grown from it. And number 3, this is the fun one. You try and succeed and you find out that your fear was this big monster, so much worse than actually doing it. And you become so much more as a person. Skydiving, for instance. I was so scared of it, okay? Hate to say it. Truth be told, I was hungover when my friend was like, hey, we're going to go skydiving this weekend. You want to join us? Yeah, okay. Well, this weekend came around and, hey, we're ready to go. And I'm like, oh, I thought you forgot about that. Yikes, mine. I'm going to look like a big chicken. So I did it. And then it was like the most amazing thing in the world. Okay, and I'm going to talk the rest of this week. We're going to be talking on fear too. I got some other really cool breakthrough stories to share with you on what it feels like to break through the fear and can go forward and go, wow, what I got out of that. All right, in closing today, guys. Okay, yes, I'm going to close because it's about time. I'm watching the clock. I'm trying to be respectful of your time. I know it's an early morning show and you got work to do. So, in closing, fear is something that is almost always worse than the actual action, occurrence, outcome. Most of the time, when you bust through a fear, you feel amazing, stronger, and more able to take control of your future. Sometimes you hit that fear, the outcome's not so great, and you learn something, you still feel good about yourself that you tried. You didn't let it hold you back. Or you could sit there and just fear everything and don't do it. And when you get to the end of your life, you kind of go, I had an okay life. Wow, this other person, I wish I was them. Okay? So one thing's for sure with all fear, whether it is perceived or real, it is a call to action that is necessary. It is telling you action is necessary. Okay? When fear pops up, ask yourself a question. What does this really mean? This is important. This is the tool of the day. Something you get afraid, ask yourself, number 1, what does this really mean? And a lot of times you're going to put away that false evidence right there and go, well, what it really means is this. It's annoying or, makes me nervous. Nervous is different than stricken with total fear. Okay? Then ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario here? What is the worst that can happen? Well, I get up and talk in front of a group and I sound stupid. Okay, number 1, usually you don't. And every speaker feels that. But, in the first 30 seconds you might, and then you win your crowd and they go, wow, he or she's human. They're pretty cool. Then everything goes great and you feel good. Or it could be one of those worst case scenarios. This car is speeding towards me and it's going to hit me. Get out of the way. Okay? Use your fear. Jump. Okay? Then after you ask what is the worst case, how could I deal with that if it is the worst case scenario? How am I going to deal with it if I go in front of a group to speak and I kind of bomb? Learn what to do better next time? Ask for feedback. Just say, hey guys, I don't think I served you really well today. What could I do better? I'll tell you what, you do that with a group of people and you're going to open up their hearts. And by the time you're done with asking that question, getting a few answers and talking, they're going to love you. Okay? So you fixed it anyway. Or, okay, what's the worst case? What's the best case? You get a standing ovation after you spoke in front of that group. And they're jumping up and down. And you're like, wow, never thought it was going to be this great. Or, you're like, wow, even if it was a little bumpy, oh my God, I learned something so important today. Or I feel really good about myself because I did this. Might not ever do it again. You might skydive one time and go, that was amazing. That was exhilarating. I'm good. I did it. Off my bucket list. It doesn't mean you're going to go take classes and become a skydiver and an air acrobat just because you go once and you conquer fear and go, okay, that was great and I'm glad I did it, but it's not something I want to do all the time. You don't have to. You don't have to skydive all the time. You don't have to run OCR races. You don't have to get up in front of crowds all the time and speak, okay? But to do it at least once to get over the fear, oh, heck yeah, you got to do it, okay? And always ask yourself, going in, how will I feel when I conquer this fear? As opposed to how many things could go wrong or what's the worst case scenario. Don't spend 5% of your time there. Understand there's a worst case scenario and don't ever do anything you can't live with the results of. Okay? You make a decision to do something. It's not somebody else's fault if it goes wrong. So remember that, you go to do an OCR or mud race. Those are obstacle course races for all of you that don't do OCR. You go in there, you could get hurt. Okay, and I know that. And if I get when you sign these waivers anyway, but I know when I go do a race, I could get hurt, and I've been hurt in a race. Okay, but it's nothing compared to that feeling of crossing that finish line or conquering that obstacle I could never do before, or looking at that, 3-story net to climb over in the Tough Mudder and going, oh God, no, that is the tallest net wall I have ever seen in my entire life. It's as tall as a 3-story, 4-story building. It's huge. But yet, when you get over the other side, no matter how much your heart was doing this going over, or looking at it as you're coming up to it, you go, I conquered that. What else in life can I do? How hard is it to talk to the boss? How hard is it to talk to your spouse? How hard is it to go up and ask, if you're single, go up and ask somebody for a date? I remember when we were kids, you thought you had to go up and go, will you go out with me? Well, no wonder it was uncomfortable. Instead of, hey, let's go grab some lunch. Let's go, go for a run. Something like that. When you're an adult, you kind of, you meet people in a different way. But, when you were a high school kid, it was like, you want to go out with me? And you go up and you wouldn't want to go out with me, would you? Well, no. If somebody comes up with that approach, hey, let's go grab some lunch. Let's go, run a race, something fun. Oh, okay, let's go to a concert. Hey, yeah, I see you like so-and-so. Let's go. How different is that response going to be, too? Because it's scary, and you're still like, she might say no, or if you're a gal, he might say no. Well, so what? Say no. And then say, okay, why? Oh, well, you know what? Sometimes no doesn't mean, oh, I don't like you. Oh my God, that's a funny difference a lot of times in people. Hey, you want to go to lunch? No. Oh, okay. Well, maybe that person just meant not right now, not today. Maybe they've got to go somewhere, have a doctor's appointment, something like that. Doesn't mean no, never. So sometimes you elaborate. Hey, you want to go to lunch? No. What about tomorrow? Hey, cool. Yeah, I'm free tomorrow. Oh. See, you were afraid, then you almost got shot down, but then you took another shot. You learned another way. It's like, oh, okay. So this thing called fear, we can't live without it. Remember your human needs. First one is certainty, which is the opposite of fear. Second one is uncertainty, which includes fear, folks. You need both of them. Both. Okay? You need that excitement. You need to be scared sometimes. Why do people go see a scary movie? They want to be scared because it's cool and, oh my God, anything can happen. But they're still getting their certainty because they're in a movie theater. They're not really on the sinking Titanic. Okay? See, those are the types of things. You pick your fears, and you got to conquer some stuff in life, guys, or else you'll never grow. On that note, go conquer something, work on that fear. I'll see you on Wednesday where we'll take this to the next level and really talk about some amazing outcomes on the other side of fear. Okay? here we go. So live with faith, energy, passion. Always live your dreams. This is Coach Lew signing off. Have an absolutely amazing day and an amazing week, guys. I will see you soon.
Ready to take it to the next level? Tune in to XLR8Life.com for our live shows, encore presentations, life-changing courses, and live coaching with Coach Lew himself. As Coach Lew always says, live with faith, energy, love, passion, and always live your dreams.